for this reaction reviewing of everything wrong with Resident Evil in 13.5 minutes, originally uploaded by charriii5, published on 6th of October 2015. And before further ado, let's get on with the show.
This is only. With this in mind, you should know that the feelings of the creator of this video towards the game in question will not be accurately reflected here. That being said, the creator has no intention of offending anyone involved with the game's creation, its franchise, the game itself, or the people who like the game. Without further ado...
Yeah, it starts off with this generic black disclaimer screen as they just did by using the Microsoft Paint program, in which to back his claims up that that is doing it in a way of a parody of Cinema Sins, who is a channel dedicated to singing every single film out there, and it became a popularization that led to us of other content creators jumping on the craze by singing video games and pop music and etc. But yeah, it starts off with a comedic impression that was supposed to be the Salazar character in the game.
Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, it starts off with the generic formation as the Cinema Sins Everything Wrong With series. Yeah, become a popular art style and trend within the Sins community, and that.
1998.
Nary.
As you can see, evidently, some of these channels follow the same formula pattern. It has the sin counter up there and the game sin timer up there to display of how many sins that been awarded or deducted, or and the time it takes to accumulate the sins and etc.
The news was out to the whole world, revealing that it was the fault of a secret viral experiment conducted by the international pharmaceutical enterprise, Umbrella.
Previously on Resident Evil.
Then it comes up with this generic styling says previously on Resident Evil, like they do on TV shows to tell as a recap what went on previously and that. Sing ding.
Just because it's supposed to be Spain doesn't mean you have to use this music.
Well, I get this whole sentiment to say it opens with a attempt on Spanish music. The thing is, I did go Ibiza myself many years ago, and they don't just only play the local Spanish music. They also play other music like they do in tropical nightclubs and that in exotic countries and etc. So I get it where he's coming from with this over used it's a Spanish setting, let's play some generic Spanish folk music.
Guess that's a local's way of breaking the ice. Anyway, you know what this is all about. My assignment is to search for the president's missing daughter.
What?
But are you a bad enough dude to save the president's daughter? Also, if they know what this is about, why give us the exposition?
Yeah, he goes and explains about are you bad enough to be sent on a reconnaissance mission to retrieve the president's daughter. They usually send out a search and rescue team to do the job instead of sending one person to go on the reconnaissance mission. No matter how skilled you are in the craft. So yeah, I get where it's coming from.
I'm sure you boys didn't just tag along so we could sing Kumbaya together at some Boy Scout bonfire.
That's racist.
The problem is when these sins videos and that, they oftenly misinterpret the same words like that's racist. So, villain is killing and hurting his own man to prove how evil he is cliche, and ex machina, which they don't know what the vernacular term of the words racist and ex machina and cliche really is. However, when I judged by the scene that Leon S. Kennedy was having a banter exchange with the two Spaniard police officers, saying Kumbaya, to say that Kumbaya is not racist, it was a religious song. When Kumbaya is nothing to do with racism, is something to do with being religious. So the whole thing about racism mainly goes on judging by the colour of somebody's skin, not as much with their nationality. When you go on about how somebody speaks from a different country, it's called xenophobic and not racism. So that context is totally wrong.
Then again, maybe you did.
Oh, you crazy American.
That too.
Then he uses the same term twice.
Is racist.
According to our intelligence, there's reliable information about a sighting of a girl that looks very similar to the president's daughter. Apparently, she's being withheld by some unidentified group of people.
If this is such a rural and secluded part of Europe, one in which everyone's infected, who reported the sighting? Why?
That's the whole issue about viral diseases, and that why a specialist team that deals with certain viral and tropical diseases hasn't investigated the area to see if there's anybody is infected and what they can do to contain the issue. But as the whole narrative of these Resident Evil games is where you got to suspend your disbelief and etc. Yeah, I get his talking points about the whole issue about the infectious outbreaks and that, and about the ways and means of containing the problem by making certain parts of the country a no-go zone and etc.
Is a source their intelligence has considered reliable?
Jeez, who are these guys?
Did you say something?
There's no f***ing way they did not hear that.
That's right. She's the daughter of the president. So try to behave yourself, okay?
What the hell is that supposed to mean? Is Leon particularly known for hitting on women, or
But the thing is, with this scene here, looks like Capcom took the Kojima style of video game with the Metal Gear Solid interaction screen between two characters with the same style of animation. Yeah, it's so weird that both video games mirrored and copied each other to sell the point of the game.
You just assume Leon's an asshole.
Freeze! I said freeze!
Maybe you should have taken up Spanish lessons before.
The thing is, I like to call him out on this. In certain parts of Spain, Spaniards do speak perfectly good English, like in every other peninsula foreign exotic country where in certain regions of every country like Spain, Japan, China, Africa and India, which they all speak perfectly good English. So in certain areas there was no need to need for a translator. Steven Spielberg explained this in a documentary of the making of Indiana Jones when he did a film in a native country with this guy who spoke in one language, which is called Sinhalese. He tried absolutely everything possible to get the local to say stuff in English. To say the guy's first language isn't English, it's his own native speak. And I was in a taxi with two Swedish girls, and they was interacting with each other in the native Swedish tongue. So when they interact with me, they revert to my language, which is English. So we could understand each other perfectly good, well, without a need, an urgency of a translator or a reference book. Like I said, certain Spaniards in Spain do speak perfectly good English, so they won't need to learn. So Leon won't need to learn things like Spanish lessons and that.
Coming here.
Get out of there and head toward the village. Take whatever measures necessary to save the subject.
So shoot first, ask questions later, huh?
Well, if he's called to action, if things go badly wrong, that's the whole policy with certain mercenaries, which they do operate by the shoot first and ask questions as later policy. There was study character in Deep Rising explained that policy, where he goes by the whole thing of no questions asked, and it became a huge ton of joke statement in action films where the protagonist says in order to ask me, I will have to shoot you, and etc., as a way of comedic and banter and that.
How you holding up?
Bad question, Hunnigan.
Sorry to hear that. I'm sending you a playing manual.
Yeah, I know, video game, yada yada, but couldn't they have found a better way to explain how she sends the manual?
Well, if this was a real life reconnaissance mission, they will have to before internet became a thing and that, they used to send the messages to relay the message to the operative to know where the movements of them progressed.
Son of a...
Says shit, but doesn't bother to say bitch for some reason.
But I found the whole flaw about these action films and that, which they throw themselves through a glass pane window and do the whole thing called the action roll. But if you're doing it from a multi-story building and that, 0.5% of the chances of survival is next to slim, and you can easily kill yourself or cause you serious injury, and you will have cuts and bruises.
La campana. Es hora de rezar. Tenemos que irnos.
Game teaches us that everyone in the village is religious because Spain.
Well, there are some people in various countries that are proud of their religion, so they will take the whole religious angle very seriously. I know that Spaniards go through a tradition where in certain principalities of Spain they have a thing called a siesta, which is a form of religion thing for them, which they go to sleep in the afternoon. So I don't know where this rebuttal come from. The game teaches us that everyone in the village is religious because Spain. That is a mute point. No matter which country you go, there's in certain rural villages, even more so, the rural villages are mostly deeply religious. So yes, they will go to church and etc. So yeah, that is a weekend rebuttal. I don't know why you had to shoehorn this in.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
What?
And when you say what, does that shock you when you say bingo? And in most rural villages and that, people do play bingo as a favoured activity, which they win rounds of bingo for prizes, and they do it occasionally to raise money for the town and etc. So I don't know what shocked you when Leon says, so where did everyone go? Bingo?
Game takes about 2 hours to inform you on the game you're playing.
Well, I hate to break this to you, pal. It is a prologue that builds up to the title of the expansion you're playing. Destiny 2 has exactly the same thing. You do the prologue mission, then you get booted off, and then it goes to the title of the game. And it's also a common trend in certain films. You get the scene, you get the first lot of scenes first, then it goes into the title of the film and TV show. So it's not a common thing where it says the game takes about 2 hours to inform you the game that you're playing, which is then again a weak rebuttal and all that lot. So it doesn't necessarily to warrant a sing or a ding. And here comes his somewhat attempt to do the Indiana Jones theme tune, in which he shoehorns it not once but mainly twice, whatever, just for cheap comedic effect.
That is the incident with the viral outbreak, right? I think I might have seen a sample of the virus in a lab at the department.
Why?
Sorry I couldn't get in touch sooner, but I was a bit tied up.
No, he was not making a sexual innuendo. It's like there's a common trend in TV shows and films where two people get caught and get tied together. So instead of getting bored to death, they exchange information or maybe a joke or two. But the scene was digging the information about the president's daughter.
So, who is this guy?
He's obviously a merchant, apparently, that sells things. It's a common NPC character in certain video games. Destiny has one called Zer. Zer is a strange character that appears in a certain location in Destiny 2 on Friday evenings, which he sells his inventory items that he's got for a week. It's a common NPC character, so it's nothing new and no shock and surprise.
Merchant Ex Machina?
Okay, let me break this right there. Okay. Ex Machina is a portion of a phrase of Deus Ex Machina meaning God from the machine, and other vernacular terms. So a character who appears out of the middle of nowhere is it is not an ex machina or a plot device. Did you know the new Latin term of Deus Ex Machina is a translation of a Greek phrase that means literally a god from the machine? In this case, it refers to the crane held by God on the stage in ancient Greek. In Roman drama, the practice introducing a god at the end of the play to revel and resolve the plot dates from at least the 5th century BC. Euripides circa 484 to and for 006 BC, was one playwright who made frequently use of the device since the late 1600s. Deus Ex Machina has been applied in English to unlikely survivors and probable events that brings order chaos in sudden ways. So, in other words, Deus Ex Machina is a contrived and plot device. So the merchant in the game is not a contrived or plot device. He's just some random character that shows up periodically to sell items. So technically, that terminology is being misinterpreted. That is the huge problem with these sin channels. They often misuse terms like cliche and ex machina in the wrong sense in order to prove a satirical point. But people claim it was these sin channels are for satire purposes only. And if I go to Google here and do a search for when it catches up, satire is a genre of literature and sometimes graphic and performing arts in which vices, follies, abuses and shortcomings are held up to ridicule, ideally with the intent of shaming individuals, corporations, government or society itself into improvement. But satire commentary is commonly used in the works of science fiction with films like RoboCop and the original Total Recall and Starship Troopers, which they take news of the events in an everyday world to put a humorous spin on the events and that what is going on. So when they say the cinema sins is for use of self-parody and satire, they don't know the whole vernacular terms means, and they commonly misinterpreted certain words without doing a prior research like I did.
You carry the same blood as us, it seems.
No matter what part of the world you live in, if you're important, you speak English.
I did touch this earlier on with this whole issue. Like I said repeatedly, some parts of Spain, the Spaniards, like any other parts of various countries, the locals in those principalities do speak perfectly good English. And he says, no matter what part of the world you live in, if you're important, you speak English cliche. But here we go frigging again. If I put the word cliche, cliché, a saying or remark that is often made and there is for is not original or not interesting. So the whole word of no matter the whole context of no matter what part of the world you live in, if you're important, you speak English cliche, but that is wrong. Like I said here, a saying or remark that is very often made and is therefore not original, or not interesting. So, cliche is being misinterpreted yet again. So many other YouTubers, like Birdman, have touched upon this, that debunked the way they present themselves by using certain words like ex machina, or the villain is killing it, and one of his all meant to prove how much of evil he is cliche. And you're standing around and eating an apple looking like an asshole. So how the hell are you supposed to eat an apple if you by not branded by being a total asshole? That is not that does not make any rhyme or reason or explanation to the contrary.
They're called the Los Illuminados.
The Illuminated. Suddenly ate it.
Well, it's quite evidently it is after all they did do a Redux DLC campaign called Separate Ways, which she focus on her perspective of chain of events that happened in the game. So it couldn't be anybody else.
No! Oh. Ba-ba-da-ba.
And here he goes again. By doing the whole take on the Indiana Jones theme tune, which it can be a annoyance where some of these content creators does this as a way of padding the length of the video by doing the same gag over and over and over again. It's like doing the pie in the face gag. When one puts a pie in somebody's face, people thought it was funny, they all jump in the gag, and it becomes as padding.
Ba-ba-da. Well, f that noise.
Why did you censor try to censor that word and add the beep when you still said the word? It doesn't make no sense of things like this.
What do you mean I still have to go there?
Leon, it's been 6 hours.
Well, it's quite evidently if you go somewhere that's forbidden, they do put signs up saying tread lightly, we're going this area can be dangerous, please don't go there or try to swim. But some people don't take heed to the warning and still do it, and they'll end up getting themselves caught.
Since our last transmission.
Whoa, that long? How did no one find you and or do anything to you?
It's called briefing. Some briefings do take long to get through. So it ain't gonna brief straight away.
Ashley!
Don't come!
Hey! Take it easy.
No! Get away!
I know your name and speak fluent English without an accent.
because after all, she is the president's daughter, and the president's daughter is the leader of the free world. And in the United States of America, because she's about to speak English, what other language is she supposed to be speaking? Portuguese? Jamaican? I don't know why they come up with this script commentary with some of these Sins videos. It's always been total weird concept, and I don't know why they do this.
How does that not give away that I'm on your side?
Where's the extraction point?
But how? But if you're gonna be secure and person will what's in, and you don't know who it is or what that person looks like, because sure you're gonna be insecure and start throwing things. It's how do you know he could be a total stranger? Because certain people are born into a sense of insecurity that can be paranoid and frightened and whoever what's in. It is common psychology within certain people until the assurance is that they're not gonna harm or do anything wrong to you.
There's another trail that you can take to get out of the village. The chopper will pick you up beyond there.
Earlier, Hunnigan kept pestering you to find this church, but doesn't Intel know where everything is around you?
Well, after all, it is a reconnaissance mission. Sure, it was after a while about to be familiar with the surroundings and that. When on these reconnaissance missions, they do give a GPS tracker of where to find certain places, and that it's like having Google Maps on your phone, which you have to be into this, which you have to find a certain building, and that you type it in the phone and it comes up, and you got to follow the guide where it's gonna send you to. But however, due to the fact he has no technology, so he had to rely on other people to feed him the directions and that, where to go and look for.
How is this off the radar, but where the chopper's gonna pick you up isn't?
No longer will the United States think...
Well, that's the whole point of an extraction vehicles, which they have perfectly good tracking devices and that. Sure, they can be able to locate a person who's gonna travel to reach the destination by using heat signature technology and that.
They can police the world forever. So, we kidnap the president's daughter in order to give her our power, and then send her back.
So, you want to show the states that they can't boss around other countries by giving the president's daughter the power to overrule everyone else in the country.
But after all, Osmond Sandler is playing a role of fanatical, radical cultist, like cultist and religious fanatics, like terrorists do send threatening messages to leaders across the world by saying, if you don't stop evading the country, we're gonna send a stop message to you. His way of sending the stop message to the President of the United States is by injecting his daughter with a parasite. That can be contagious in case she coughs and touches a table or a bar, and the person that can get contact with traces of the infection, so it passes from person to person to person, then it all becomes a viral outbreak. So it wants to send a catalyst in order to start the contagion as a plague. That was the name. The Los Plagas means the plague in Spain, which is today's equivalency of the Black Death that happened in this country centuries ago, which infectious carriers we came from another country into this country, and they spread the viral outbreak disease, which caused the deaths to thousands of people in this country. So he is sending a dangerous package to a country. It's like you go abroad, you bought you're so kind of like you go touring in Australia, and the customs do check your belongings and that to find any traces of food, and that to combat anything that can be causing hazardous to plant life and that can lead to a contagion. So they have to seize property of the food because you're bringing in a foreign antibody to another country, which can cause a huge mega outbreak. So Osmond Sandler is the way he wants to start of the new strain of the Black Death by sending a carrier of the infection to another country in order to send a bold statement,
Potentially allowing them to boss around other countries anyway. Nice plan, Sadler.
I'll have total control over your minds. Don't you think this is a revolutionary way to promulgate one's faith?
Sounds more like an alien invasion if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, how do you go from a zombie virus-infected plague to a plague that mutates the host and makes them susceptible to mind control?
Well, there was this film called The Wrath of Khan. In a scene called The Wrath of Khan, Chekhov and another one of the crewmate has been held captured by Khan. That sends a mind controlling bug that can change the person's behavior pattern to make him become more subservient, and that. So So yeah, certain if you implant certain parasites that's susceptible to the mind control, it can turn the horse into a puppet kind of entity, which can be susceptible to mind control, and it can also be an infectious disease amongst other humans or animals.
Other than all that glass cutting or exposed legs, that bitch landed.
But I find it hard to believe they jumped from a higher church window and there's smack bang on concrete. But yeah, it could be really painful if even if you vault over a wall, you don't know where you're landing. It can cause you physical and serious injury by doing things like that.
On her feet, her knees should be shattered.
Well, I'm afraid I have to tell you anyway. We've lost contact with the chopper. Someone must have shot it down, though we can't determine who.
Great.
We're prepping another chopper for you. Meanwhile, I want you to head towards the extraction point.
Got it.
Someone, you don't know who, most likely shot down the chopper.
Well, if they got information about the extraction chopper being shot down, and they don't know who, they don't know who was behind the attack because they didn't get enough intel of who shot down the chopper, or should I say the extraction vehicle. So they had to send in a replacement. So there's only things that technology can do. They can detect the movement of people in the building, but they cannot detect who initiated the attack.
You sent over. As a result, you're sending another chopper to the same extraction point.
Where they can exactly send it? If it is a replacement extraction vehicle, they have to go to the majority of the time. They do have to go to the same destination. Otherwise, they will have to go to a different extraction point if things were changed.
What are we gonna do, Leon?
Hate to say it, but we're sandwiched, all right.
Get it? Jill sandwich?
Okay, I've seen this joke quite a few times in certain other Sins videos of Resident Evil, where they said, "Haha, Jill the sandwich." Not everybody gets the joke, but not everybody played the Resident Evil game in order to get the joke. But what Leon said, he didn't say Jill sandwich. He said if we don't get moving, we will be a sandwich. He didn't mention the word Jill. I don't know where this joke has come from. It's become an overused joke within the Gaming Sins community who does these videos.
No? Okay.
Well, I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics too.
Whoa. Whoa. I literally have no comment on how sexist that is.
After all, he is playing a role of a Spanish romantic Casanova. Of course, he's gonna use suave, debonair terms when he sees a attractive young woman walks into the room by using military speak. in order to gain sexual advances and that.
How rude! And I don't believe there's any relevance with my figure and my standing.
This is the only sign of intelligence Ashley ever shows throughout this entire game. Otherwise, she's kind of played up as a bimbo.
Well, not quite clearly. She's the president's daughter, and she's got an intelligent brain, and all because she's got a blonde hair, that does not mean that she's a bimbo. I don't get this whatsoever. This has been a common thing in the past recent years. Every time when they see a blonde woman and that's not to the level of high intelligence, and that they often be branded as a bimbo. I think that is total nonsense and pathetic. To the contrary.
Who are you?
Oh, excuse me, Your Highness. Perhaps the young lady might want to introduce herself first before asking someone his name.
Perhaps the ladies' man would care to introduce himself before commenting on the president's daughter's baps?
Again, he was trying to be a charming Casanova. And how do you know he was talking about the size of a woman's breast by emoting with the top of her? He was not going like, oh, you're a beautiful blonde girl. You got a nice pet, so let's go and do away with each other. He wasn't making that statement. He was just trying to spend time, in order to alleviate the boredom.
Hasta luego.
Taunting someone in their own language cliche.
Then again, he's misappropriating the use of the word cliche. After all, Leon S. Kennedy is the protagonist, and the tall guy is the antagonist. The hero does this in films all the time. Bruce Willis did this to the Alan Rickman character in the final boss scene of the first Die Hard film, where he said yippee-ki-yay, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's favorite line, hasta la vista, baby. Due to the fact of the copyright of the use of the word hasta la vista, baby, for this game they had to shorten it. So hasta la vista is basically a translation in Spanish to say the tall guy earlier on in the game spoke perfectly good English, and if he was speaking in his native tongue, which is Spanish, then the whole joke is possible. But for some reason the guy spoke English quite a few times, so the whole terminology taunting to somebody in their own language cliche, which that does not make no sense.
Unless you saw this before fighting Mendez, why would you ever take his eye?
Haven't you seen any other science fiction films? There was the scene in Demolition Man where Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes, kills one of the guards at the cryo prison and took one of his eyes and used it as a scanner to gain access. So in order to gain authorized access, you got to need some form of a key or a card in order to gain access. For the guy's fake eye, which was used to gain him access, so Leon had no choice but to take that eye in order to use it in order to gain access into the other part of the area.
Leon! Louis.
Are they going to question at all what he's doing here and why he would ever assume we're here?
But if they're gonna do that, it is gonna give the element of surprise away. How does Leon know that is that Louis Serra is a double agent operative that could be, you may be working for Osmond Sandler? How do you know he could be working for somebody like Ada at the same time? Nobody don't know who he's working for, why is he so important, and what is his motives are. So he isn't going to spill the beans straight away, because that will give away the element of surprise. So otherwise, if they do that in films, it's going to be a lousy surprise element, and they're going to spoil the rest of the film. So they're going to keep second guessing of one person's movements.
What are you talking about?
I have to go back and get it.
Let me come with you.
No, you stay here with Leon.
No, for the love of cow, take her.
Who are you?
Dwarf Spanish Napoleon.
Okay. Here comes this whole debate. Napoleon Bonaparte height was graciously misinterpreted. Everybody thought that Napoleon was a midget-sized person. I can just do a wiki search. I don't know why some of these sites does this. At his death in 1821, the nail in the coffin came with his physician's report that his body was 5 feet 2 inches from the top of the head to the heels. Subsequent note that this was equal to 5 feet 6 by the slightly different system, by slightly different English measurement, was eventually conveniently forgotten. So The whole debate of Napoleon being a dwarf, it was totally misinterpreted. The whole reports of his autopsy or post-mortem states that his actual height was 5'6". At the turn of the century, that was the average height for a male. It's like some people thought that Sylvester Stallone was 6'2", 6'1", but in reality, it turns out that Sylvester Stallone is 5'7", and an inch taller above Napoleon. So technically, the whole terminology of the dwarf Spanish Napoleon. By the way, Napoleon Bonaparte was not Spanish. He was he was French. So I don't know who researched this video. They didn't do a very good job of researching Napoleon. So something like I took a 2.5 second wiki search to find out Napoleon's height. It turns out that it was 5'6". So like I said, that was his amongst males. That was relatively tall. No matter if he was wearing boots or not. So boots for the guy of that height, he made double in size because of the inches of the heels. When you wear shoes and that, you double in size. But when you remove shoes, you reduce in size. Like with Napoleon, he maybe look like that is shorter than his height was intended was 5'6". So kind of like when he was not in battle, when he was going to bed, he took his shoes off, so he reduced a few inches shorter. But when he was in battle in full, the Armada, the French merchant fleet dress, he increased in height a bit. So kind of like if you're tying a couple of foam blocks around your feet, you will look like that you're increased in size. But when you take it off, you go down in size. It's like when people get older, people do shrink in size. Whereas when people are young, they double in size. When people get older, they do eventually shrink in size. So it's not a common genetic problem of somebody's height.
I've been expecting you, my brethren.
Why? Why would anyone know they'd be heading here?
You alright?
I'm fine! Leave me alone!
Ash, what the hell is your damage, you idiot? Why run away from the guy protecting you?
Because if you don't make his infection worse and somebody goes at you, they don't want to get contact and they will end up running away. How do you know? She was running through a hallway filled with booby traps and that.
God damn it.
It might come as a surprise, but I'm only 20 years old.
Yeah, no.
So,
Well, the people, people, it's a genetic problem. Somebody can feel like they're 12 years old, but still looks, but still ages normal. It's a common problem with most people. Some people age well than others. Some people maybe 34 that still going around and looking like they're 18 years old. It's called genetic in some people, which some people can't adaptability to age physically as others. It is a common problem. So you could have done away with taking off that sin.
do you like my garden?
I see you've managed to work in a little of your twisted taste here, too.
Sagacious as I am.
Sagacious. Sagacious, having or showing keen mental discernment and good judgment, wise or shrewd. The whole scene is he wants to set a difficult challenge for Leon by sending him into this maze.
Even I get lost here sometimes. Even if it takes your whole life, you'll never get out.
He could just jump over the hedges.
Then what is the point to a maze when people gonna do things like that? The point to a maze is supposed to be challenging. You're supposed to start at one side of the maze. You got to try to find your way out to the other side, but by using your wits and skills and judgment. But he's not gonna he's gonna go in with a weed whacker and hack his way through the maze. That would be classed as cheating, and that would be any relevance to the challenge at hand.
He doesn't have to play by your rules.
Well, in order to get to his main objectives, yes, they will have to play by somebody's rules. It's called task making, which the task maker sends people out on various tasks and challenges to do it, and they got to abide by the task without no shortcuts or anything.
Long time no see.
Ada went to the Sonic the Hedgehog Academy of greeting people.
No, she just is a woman that is casually taking off her glasses to reveal herself. As Ada did explain in the opening dialogue of Separate Ways, start hiding in the shadows isn't my style. I have to reveal myself to him and offer advice once in a while, because it's just her style of combat is tactical, not stealth. if she was to do it stealth, she will have to remain hidden all the time. So that's not to her objective and style. So she likes to do things tactically, but by revealing herself, herself every once again to do a quick filling in and then disappearing, by not revealing way too much of his or her actions.
Leon! I got it!
Character dies before they're able to deliver something important, cliche.
No, it was a part of the scene. Osmond's son found out who Louis Serra is really working for, and is for disloyalty in that he has to kill him because he was deemed to be unworthy, an untrustworthy operative. Because of the guy's disloyalty.
Whoa! Did he just kill him with his dick?
No. How do you know he didn't come from his stick? How do you know he came from somebody else, somewhere else? I don't know. Why is this fascination? With these Singe channels, do you have to go into the realms of sexual innuendo and perversion by coming up with jokes like that? And hentai is more than just tentacle, rape porn. That only happens in certain hentai animations. If you have to do a hentai outside of Japan, hentai is anime and manga pornography. The Japanese language, however, hentai is not a genre of media, but a type of perverse or bizarre sexual desire or act. So that tentacle could come from anywhere. It didn't state what part of the body it came from.
This game just went full on hentai.
Louis!
Is it bad that I care more about Luis than I do about Ashley?
Why don't you do us all
No, it's part of the plot.
a favor and leave before the audience gets pissed off?
Not sure if breaking the fourth wall or not.
How did breaking the fourth wall? They just communicating with each other, or because they're facing this way? That means to say they're not breaking the fourth wall. What breaking the fourth wall is when the character stands in front of the camera and they say lines of dialogue to interact with the audience, as they believe they're doing a form of interaction. Matthew Broderick character Ferris Bueller did that quite a lot in the film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he oftenly turns to the camera to interact with the audience. And Ryan Reynolds perfected that with the film, with the Deadpool series. To say I've seen scenes of it, I didn't see the film to get the gist. And there's oftenly a common trait in certain films where the villain also does that when they turn to the front of the camera to interact to the audience, so they can contrive the plot of the next movements. In the 1987 Masters of the Universe live action film, Frank Langella's character Skeletor in one scene did do exactly that by facing the camera as a way of interaction. It's called a common art form in various types of media, and that was predates all the way back to the 1960s or should I say 1970s or whatever, when the original Alfie film comes out, where Michael Caine does that a lot to explain what is he going to do next. And in the Jude Law remake, Jude Law did exactly the same. It's a way of how they interact with the audience. So it's not a commonly new thing called breaking the fourth wall.
Uncertainty warrants a sim.
In my script, so don't get too carried away. Your biggest scene is over.
I don't ever remember being a part of your crappy script.
Well then, why don't you show me what a first-class script is like through your own actions?
Lame screenplay metaphor is lame.
Well, I say this is in the root as the job these operatives are in. They do quite a lot of roleplay as the part of their objectives, and they got to work by a script and that. So it's not really lame as in such. It's a part of operation building and that. Something like a bunch of people are in this room. They get a script of the what the parts of the role plays into certain scenarios. As in this game, where Leon, Louis, Sarah, and Ada Wong are all operatives, so which they can easily work with each other 1 minute, then can play against each other the next minute as a way of role playing, so they can stay ahead of each other. It's a common practice in the role of spy and tactical operations and espionage.
Why they don't just follow Salazar out the door baffles me.
Because otherwise it won't be to the great importance of the scene. They want to go through that danger, and that it's like a scene in Indiana Jones, where Indiana Jones something like Marion is stuck in this room, and the ceiling slowly comes down, about to crush him, and they make the last minute daring escape. But if they make that daring escape way too soon, it won't be a point to the build up of the scene. and certain scenarios arise in the both Tomb Raider films with Angelina Jolie.
Damn it! Ashley!
Ugh, son of a goat. Resident Evil, a series about a man-made virus.
Well, I hate to say this, that's the whole point of Resident Evil, which is about viral outbreaks and mutations that can take various forms and that.
How do you explain these things? Boosh.
Leon, you're alive.
Yeah, no shit. Suddenly this thing. Suddenly Donkey Kong.
I'm sure most films within this place were filled with booby trap contraptions and that, and sure the barrel rolling down the stairs were probably popularized in pirate films way before Donkey Kong come out. So it's not a reference to Donkey Kong. It's also a reference to things like pirate movies and such, where they comically roll barrels down the stairs, trying to knock people over.
Need a ride, handsome?
Okay.
Scene will apparently include... Oh, you meant the boat.
Women.
That's sexist.
I can give him a pass on this one. He did use word sexiest in the proper terminology. But the Cinema Sins guy did a review, did a sin breakdown on Batman Forever. When Val Kilmer said the word women after when he done with his meeting with Dr. Chiz Meridian on the roof of the Gotham Police Department building, he gets in his car and says women. And the Cinema Sins guy incorporated the wrong word. He's supposed to say sexist but not racist. But however, Sins guys like this did use it in the correct appropriation.
What the
Are you out of your mind?
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
You know, I'm really starting to think the writers had a vendetta against women in this game.
What is this?
No, it's called witty video game development humor. To say not only men develop games, you know, there's also women. Most women has a good sense of humor, like men, where a guy can say a sexist joke to a woman. Some women might take it offensive. Some women will find it humorous and that. For instance, there was a scene in Aliens where Michael Biehn character Corporal Hicks said a funny jokey innuendo with Sigourney's Ellen Ripley, and she basically laughed. And it turns out behind the scenes that Sigourney Weaver has a good sense of humor. She could take a sexist comment and laugh, because due to the fact she's so used to it, because she's from New York. New Yorkers are known for the brash humor. that can not be offended by certain things and that. You could go up to a New Yorker and say a charming witty joke and they just basically laugh. It's called humorous writing. It was no way to offend or insult one person or another.
More importantly, why did you land on it?
You're the one who kidnapped Ashley. You catch on quick.
Okay, seriously? Krauser kidnapped Ashley? You're telling me no one saw the President of the United States' daughter get kidnapped by a man who was supposedly dead?
Well, how does anybody supposed to know the guy is dead? That's going to make a weak plot to any film or any game. I'm sure somewhere down the line there's a book tie in with the game to explain about the abduction of the president's daughter. So the player who's gonna go into these games and that will want to have the element of mystique and surprise, and not to give that element away, and etc.
No one.
Ada! Well, if it isn't the bitch in the red dress.
You know, this cutscene's actually pretty funny if you have the alternate costumes on.
You knew each other?
You know each other?
Why don't I introduce you?
Well, it was quite evidently one time or another when both for in training. There was one time or another good friends. Some people don't remain friends forever. Some people part their ways and end up bumping into each other years later after taking certain paths. So to Leon, up to this standpoint, Krauser could have may have been dead, but in reality he is not. Like I said earlier on, it's all part of character role-playing building, and that every character in this game are playing part of the role in the operation. From the good guys to the villains. And they got to test each other's wits and skill. Who's going to come out at the top? It's like some kind of like chessboard in video games format, where one person makes one move and the person makes the other, and the other person makes their move, and etc. 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 until it's checkmate.
To eat. It should keep you busy.
I swear if it is a euphemism for your penis, I don't want to meet it.
Did he mean it sexually? I don't think so.
2 down, 1 more to go, Krauser. We'll see about that.
No, actually, he has 2 and he needs 1 more. Aside from killing him, technically nothing you do at this point can change that.
Yeah, but he says it as a metaphor when he says 1 down and 2 to go. Is a common metaphor of elimination. So how do you know who was say no, you're next?
What are you talking about? Did you really think I'd trust an American?
That's racist.
Okay, you said this joke so many times, and it's getting rather tedious. Now, how do you know the guy could be a xenophobe and not racist? and etc. This is the one thing I don't get about these Sims videos, is at times they have a tendency to reuse the same punchline over and over and over again as a way of padding.
Hey, it's about time.
Sorry, bad traffic.
Are you goddamn telling me that this was the extraction point? F***ing why? Mike!
Well, how do you know? How do you know where the extraction point's supposed to be? When it should have been following the plot and the story of the game.
Oh no, not Mike. He knew a good bar and the drinks were on me.
Sorry, Ada.
I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure you shouldn't be able to stand after that.
Yeah, but if you're pumped up with adrenaline and that, you're about to feel invincible and feel no ounce in pain after when you've been slightly stabbed in the leg and being shinned. Many people have known to be stabbed in the leg and managed to get up and still walking, and that it's not kind of like if somebody bit you in the leg, you can still able to walk, but the pain will notice after when all the adrenaline wears off. After all, Leon has been infected by a disease which could hatch and spread. That's supposed to make you feel receptible and that to feel the pain, because it acts like a placebo effect. But the whole scene is he went crazed and he was about to strangle Ada. When she was fighting for her life, she would do absolutely everything to break through the grass by poking him in the leg, either with a knife or a stick, and kick him away. So kind of like anybody can go to somebody and throttles them, and you got to try defend yourself. What you'll end up having to do is you have to boot somebody in the stomach in order to get them away from you. So even somebody who will get kicked in the stomach could easily comfortably get up and walk, because he was big and still was pumped with adrenaline. So kind of like when you're playing a video game, you get excited by a video game, you feel all the stigma of the adrenaline, but when you finish playing the game, all that adrenaline eventually wears off. It's like going out for a drink at the bar. When you have a drink at the bar, when you got alcohol down in the system, it acts like an anesthetic, a placebo, which makes you invincible. If somebody punches you so many times in the head or in the stomach, you won't feel no pain, and you will still be able to walk. But when you wake up the next day, once all that alcohol is dissipated from your body, then you start to feel pain because of that effect that wears off.
Why exactly do they have a machine specifically designed to do this? Doesn't Sadler want everyone to be infected with Las Plagas? This does exactly the opposite.
Well, how the hell are you supposed to remove a virus? Haven't you seen the film The Matrix, where Trinity puts this thing on Neo's stomach in order to extract the parasite from his stomach? So it doesn't grow and takes over his body and turns him into a mind-controlled puppet. So they have to get rid of it very damn quickly. And like I said, they're not gonna let two affected people into the United States just because of things called contagion, and they might spread diseases and that to the other people. So in order to stay safe, they have to get rid of any traces of the virus out of the bodies, so they're safe to be fit to fly. Otherwise, they'd be quarantined.
We get it, Capcom. Ashley was meant...
No, she was not showing feelings of sexual arousal. So kind of like you will make painful facial noises, and that if somebody sends loads of jolts of lightning, or should I say jolts of shock into your body, which can be very damn painful, and it's not supposed to give you sexual stimulation. So not everybody has that huge threshold, can be receptible to pain, but some people are, some people are not, and some people can really feel pain.
To be sexual.
Ashley, you stay here.
Not a good plan, asshole. At this rate, you're just asking for her to get kidnapped again.
But where else is she supposed to go? And if nobody else appears in that room, then she is safe.
The American prevailing is a cliche that only happens in your Hollywood movies.
Sadler would be okay at CinemaSins, I guess.
This has been the overused statement in every Sins videos. I don't know why these Sins guys do this, where they say, oh, this person will be excellent at gaming Sins, this person will be excellent at cinema Sins, this person will be excellent at this, that and the other. Or because this about obvious applause and dialogue. When somebody does that, it doesn't mean they're excellent at a certain thing. They're just pointing to the obvious rudimentary dialogue. So the whole emphasis of the word, oh, this person will be excellent at cinema Sins, this person will be excellent at gaming Sins, that's been going on since the creation of these Sins channels from years ago, and it's become an overused statement.
after you take me back to my place, how about we do some, overtime?
Finally, a lap dance!
And this is another thing that irritates people about these Sins channels. Every time when somebody makes a joke in that, they said, "Oh, this scene don't contain a lap dance," blah 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 blah. Of course, they what contain a gratuitous lap dance. Resident Evil is not that type of game. It is supposed to be about a strategic survival video game series where people not known for to take their clothes off to have sex. She was supposed to use her infectious advances in that, but some people would like to stay professional and say no by turning it down, because they know if they accept their advance, they'll be at risk of termination due to the fact they're acting professional. And certain establishments in high security has that stance of appropriation.
Sorry.
Oh, f*** you, Leon. Be a man and f*** the president's daughter. Editing that out.
Hunnigan, is that you?
Oh yeah, Hunnigan. I almost forgot about her.
You know, you're kind of cute without those glasses. Give me your number when I get back.
May I remind you that you're still on duty?
Story of my life.
Would you make up your mind? Is it...
No, he was trying to be cute to try have an advance on the boss. Then again, it's called the appropriation of that line of business he's in. As a boss, by right can warn him on of his position, or because she's not wearing glasses. Some people wear glasses all the time. Some people just wear glasses for looking at computer and for reading.
Ada or Hunnigan? Hell, Ashley offered, but you said no. Jeez, what's with us people?
I've seen cult members carrying ceremonial rods, and I wonder if they emit these sounds. Of course, this is purely theoretical.
Theoretical, but the only thing that could possibly explain this boot.
But she's trying to explain about can his scepter be a trigger for we're sending signals to the parasites in order to control the host by sending sound waves and etc. etc. It's a common psychology and that in films and video games. Some animals can be receptible to certain noises. If they use one sound, they're not receptible to that control. But when they use a total different sound, that animal can identify it and be controlled. That type of thing. So she's querying, is it possible for certain devices and that could be used as communication devices and that? And to dispel if it's all bogus or not.
Leon! I got it.
Okay, now that we're on the separate waste portion of the game, Luis's motives for working with Leon actually make less sense to me. I always thought he was just being nice and helping out, but now Ada's telling me that he's trying to work with Ada to get out of Spain.
Well, that's the whole plot of the character, which they couldn't be explained in the base game. So in the DLC, separate ways, they do have a very poor way of explaining it of who Louis was really working for.
So why go to Leon and help? Does he assume Leon's with Ada too?
Maybe you forgot, Wesker. I don't always play by your rules.
Resident Evil, the series where everyone works for everyone and no one at the same time.
Okay. This is the huge problem here. The characteristics of Ada Wong is a double operative. Some double operatives can operate as a freelancer, where they can work for any organization and anybody at any given moment, but they're not contracted with certain organizations to work with that organization full time. So kind of like one presenter can work for CNN to present the news 1 minute, and then the next minute they can go and report the news on something like Fox News, because some people work under a freelance contract, which they could work for any organization. At their own terms. Sorry for the pause. I was trying to get out what I was about to continue saying. Yeah, some operatives do work exactly like that under a freelance contract. She can work with one organization 1 minute, she can work with other organization the next minute, and then again she could be a deep cover operative, that she works undercover as an agent for one organization but works for another organization at the same time as a line of contact. And she didn't say, "Oh, I didn't work for you." She said, "Sometimes I don't play by your rules," which some people don't operate by the rules, and some people do. There's kind of people that plays by the book, and some people don't play by the book. It's common logic and strategy and etc. So the whole saying that Resident Evil, the series where everyone works for everyone and no one at the same time, that is also a fallacy and an utterly false statement.
I'll do whatever it takes to keep him in his place and make this all go smoothly. Of course, his role didn't exist at all until a few months ago. Back then, my role was much simpler too. But that was before the president's daughter was abducted and Leon was dispatched alone to find her. Talk about a major script revision.
Hey, she said it, not me.
Why do you find that funny when she explains the whole ludicrousy of role playing in a mission.
I'm sorry. I jumped the gun when I reported you dead to Wesker.
Not really. He should be dead.
Well, she said that to give the element of surprise to this guy Wesker. She said I will have to fill in loads of paperwork if he shows up, but alive. Where they got to give the grand illusion that he's dead, to make he or she is dead, to make a quick report to claim that the mission is a success. It's common flaw and logic in films and television.
That's a large thing you have there.
Oh.
No, she was not saying it sexually. After all, the characteristic of Ada Wong is supposed to be based on the character Nikita from Luc Besson's film La Femme Nikita, where there's deep cover operative is supposed to act all sassy and seductive and that, by using innuendos, basically like James Bond.
Sorry, Leon. Hand it over.
Ada, you do know what this is.
If you already know she's working with Wesker, why wouldn't you also assume that she knows?
But Leon S. Kennedy does not know that she was up to that standpoint where they were seen in the room at the castle. You really don't know who Ada was really working for. In order to stay on the script, he's got to still don't know who she really working for. To assume the course and the plot of the movements on that chessboard of where to go next.
What the sample is.
Then it ends with the end screen card with the games in total of 91 and the sentence date with Ramon Salazar. And that was the whole breakdown and reaction to everything wrong with Resident Evil 4 in 13 and a half minutes, uploaded by charriii5. All credit goes to him. To give you the explanation of there's some inconsistencies and mistakes that these channels that dedicated to singing video games and films and that where they misinterpret certain words and by calling them out on their mistakes in order for them to hope to God to get that kind of input to to improve on that in order not to make mistakes and narratives again, and etc. And that was the whole breakdown and reaction, and to support his channel. Please do so, and please be civil to these content creators. To say, after all, they do provide good entertainment. There were some videos out there that was being overly harsh and that by going way overboard, and that when they do these things, they do it for entertainment purposes. That's the whole emphasis of these Sims channels, for ways of entertainment. And don't forget to follow me on social media. My social media link will be in the description bar below, and in order to be notified, hit the notification button, due to the YouTube's algorithm not notifying subscribers of any latest content. And until then, this is me being Frankie Croft Smales. Thank you for watching wherever you are in the world. Have a great evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Stay safe, fare thee well. May the force be with you, and see you starside. In the immortal words of Stan Lee, Excelsior.